Hands up, don't shoot is a slogan that most people in this country should be able to identify. Black Lives Matter is a current progressive movement that is trying to call attention to the injustices faced by African Americans in our country by those sworn to protect us, the police. Today, we will discuss the origin of this movement, why the phrase all lives matter is misleading, and how protesting has worked and continues to work to bring change in our nation. Now, according to the academic journal, The Civil Rights Movement to Black Lives Matter, the African Union, and the African Americans in the United States, the Black Lives Matter movement was co-founded by 3 African American women by the name of Alicia Garza, Opal Tometi, and Patrisse Cullors in 2012 in response to the acquittal of George Zimmerman on the charges that he murdered an unarmed 17-year-old boy named Trayvon Martin. Now, the movement began to gain international recognition after the death of Michael Brown, which is where the slogan "Hands Up, Don't Shoot" originated from. With every movement comes a counter movement, and for Black Lives Matter, that came in the form of All Lives Matter. Now, according to Scott Loken, in his academic journal, Black Lives Matter Movement and Why the Response All Lives Matter is Misleading, Black Lives Matter is a statement to remind those who may have forgotten that Black lives are supposed to be included as equals in this nation. The response of All Lives Matter to this is as if people want to brush off the concerns of Black people against the unjust police brutality cases that go unpunished, which allows these incidents to continue happening, which allows these instances to continue happening with no fear of prosecution. I've met many people in my life that argue all lives matter, and their point is highly misleading, as Black Lives Matter never stood for all lives not mattering. They're just emphasizing that Black lives matter in life and in death, and they do deserve justice, which is why another slogan, all lives can't matter until Black lives do too, was adopted. Protesting in our nation has always worked. USA Today's reporter Marco de la Casa? USA Today's reporter Marco de la Casa has cited many different times when protesting has worked to bring change to our nation, like in 1954, when protesting led to the Supreme Court's decision of Brown versus the Board of Education, where they desegregated the schools, as well as in 1955 when Rosa Parks was arrested for not giving up her bus seat to a white woman, and Martin Luther King led bus boycotts that 1 year later resulted in the desegregation of buses. Now, today in 2020, protests have incited across the nation in hopes of getting justice for George Floyd and changing how police departments handle cases of police brutality. So all 4 cops in George Floyd's case have been indicted on murder charges as we speak. So although there has been some progress made, persistence is key on the lasting change in this country. Like I said, persistence is everything. Persistence is key. Black Lives Matter protests will continue to use the slogan "Hands Up, Don't Shoot" as a way of emphasizing that even with their hands up, Black lives are being taken with the excuse that the police are scared for their own lives. This is why the origin of the Black Lives Matter movement is so important, as well as why the response "all lives matter" is misleading as well as condescending. And lastly, why these protests and outrage cannot die down, because change will begin to stagnate if we begin to get too comfortable. Thank you.